Hi, everyone. This is the Shotgun City Sheriff, the law himself, Clayton Clark, and you're listening to the Spot Show Podcast. But if not, the eyes of the sheriff are upon you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spot Show Podcast. I'm going to tell you right now, this is a professional wrestling podcast that is not about professional wrestling, but we are on episode 7, 8. Is this 8? This is 8. Sorry.
This is 8.
I am so messed up with time. The point is, we're on episode 8. You should know by this point what we are. I'm one of your hosts, Dickie Wabash, joined as always by the one-man boy band, Michael Madrox.
Dickie, 4 months in, bro.
At this point, yeah. It's one of those things you take a look at, and I don't want it, because look, we spent the entire time last
I'm just saying, 4 months
episode,
in,
yeah, like talking about how, oh my god, we've come so far.
Thankful.
Like, oh, we're so grateful, and we're
Indian in the cupboard.
Oh no, no, I'm not gonna have a fucking masturbatory spot show again this time. No, I just, yeah, but it in all honesty, it genuinely is crazy, you know. But anyway, point being, so I think last time was one of those just turn on the mics and shoot the breeze, and those are always fun ones. But, you know, every now and then you got to bring a little topic to a podcast just to kind of have a little conversation. And, you know, old Michael Madrox put out the feelers on social media and said, what are some things that you want to see discussed on the podcast? And one thing that I saw that was suggested was just talk about your interests, like talk about what you're into, talk about stuff like that, which I feel we do a pretty good job of already, but we always kind of just, we never deep dive, easy for me to say, into exactly what our interests are. Like we just surface level say,
we deep dived into collecting once.
We that's the only thing though. Like it's so like it's easy for me to say like, oh, this is what I'm into, but it's like just in passing, you know. And then Madrox was like, I think that's a good topic that we can kind of dive into, whether it be movies or TV shows or music or video games or whatever. So that's kind of where this one is going.
Yeah. So let's start it off, Dickie.
Well, before we start it off, I just want to let everyone know that this episode is brought to you by Sewer Layer Toys, Elite Pro Wrestling, and BurntBuds.com, but you are going to hear about them a little bit more later. Yeah, let's dive into it here. So, obviously, you know, we always make the joke, and we talked about it last time, where we are a professional wrestling podcast that's not about wrestling, but goddamn it, do we talk about wrestling a lot. So I think that we've done a pretty good job of covering like what wrestling that we're into and like who we like and who we don't like. Like we've touched the surface, but
you want to make a bet here that we can go a whole hour podcast without talking about it?
You want to make a bet right now that we can go into an entire podcast without talking about wrestling? I will bet you that we don't do it.
I guarantee we won't, because once we start talking about movies or music, it's going to turn back around.
Okay, so you think that we won't make it?
Yes.
I'm going to take the other bet. Shake this hand right now, sir. I bet you that we can make it an hour without, or the allotted time without talking about professional wrestling. So I say starting now, and this does not count the Elite Pro Wrestling ad read.
Okay.
Because that has to be a part of it anyway.
I'm going to do my best not to say anything, but I'm sure that, like, especially movies, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough.
It's going to be a hard one. So I say starting now, we are going to do our best to not talk about professional wrestling and go. So how funny was that video from Triple Mania where Vampiro just no-sold that guy's boot and got out of the ring?
We're off the track.
I know. That was a joke because you sent me that and I thought it was funny. But
Vampiro's a god to me,
Vampiro is he's your all-time, right?
No, Raven.
Raven is. Okay, I couldn't remember the order. But anyway, no, all joking aside, we really are going to try to, even though a lot of you guys come here to hear about wrestling because we're so ingratiated in wrestling, and we're like, our roots
Are wrestling.
And I think that it's time to not necessarily branch out, because I think what we do works, but
Let's switch it up a little bit.
We're a professional wrestling podcast that's not about wrestling, so let's not talk about wrestling.
Let's get the elephant in the room over.
Okay.
You said music.
Yeah.
What currently is Dickie MadBash listening to other than Weezer?
So the joke, obviously, of course,
Yes.
is that I do. So this is funny. Last year, vamp a little bit, because I have to find something that I think is really funny that talks about how much I actually listen to Weezer.
He's going through his phone now, guys.
Yeah, because it was a Reddit comment that I made about how much Weezer I truly listen to.
But I said other than Weezer. And
I know, but I still have to bring this up because it's really funny.
I swear, no arguing about Weezer on this show.
No, we're not going to argue. Well, so what do you listen to a lot lately?
Currently, the Nameless 2.
Okay.
It's Sick Fucks Entertainment. All the beats are done by Jimmy Don, and Gruesome is the main artist on it. But they got tracks with like Killa Capone and Jelly Roll. And it's basically an album right now that's like music for the soul. Like, they have a song that like breaks down every emotion you could be going through or every situation. And it helped me a lot when I was in the hospital, because it released on April 20th. And I've just been playing that on repeat, man.
There was something special about that date too. There was something. Didn't we do something on April 20th? What? No, a podcast came out on that day. I think. I think it was a podcast day.
Was it?
Is why I'm thinking about that. Yeah, because I think that the first Travis episode dropped on the 20th. I think.
Possibly.
I don't remember, but there's something other than the fact of, obviously, April 20th, 420. But there was something significant about that day, other than what you just said, because I do remember that. But there was something else about that day that was in my head.
But
for
I
some
mean,
reason.
that album, man, like, Gruesome took just lyrics and painted a picture movie with every damn song.
Isn't that the best type of album, though, where there's kind of a story told throughout? Like, one of my all-time favorite albums is Igor by Tyler, the Creator. And I know that you're not a huge Tyler, the Creator fan. Like, that's one thing about you and I. Our music taste. Do what?
Are yin and yang?
Yeah. That's where our music, like, we agree on a lot of things, but music, we
agree somewhat.
We touch very
just the tip
when it comes to music. But Igor by Tyler, the Creator is another album that's a story.
See, like, that whole time frame, though, with Tyler, the Creator, you're either a Hobson fan or you're a Tyler, the Creator fan.
No shit.
And
yeah.
Me and you talked about this a lot. I'm a Hobson guy.
I'm Tyler, the Creator, man. It's T, baby.
No, man.
Tyler Baudelaire, a.k.a. Bunny Hop Wolf Haley.
But, like, Tyler's, like, mainstream shock rap.
Well, Tyler, the Creator isn't really shock rap anymore.
Well,
because when you go back to his first two albums, and he, like, Yonkers is... like Goblin, the album that Yonkers is on, like, Goblin is Yonkers is shock rap. And then even on Wolf, Rusty is a kind of a shock rap song, because he's like dropping shit in that it's like Tyler is like, because people were talking about it, they were like, I saw it on this video, it's like, man, why has Tyler, the Creator, like, not been canceled? And because of some of his older shit. And it's like, because he's shown that he's actually evolved.
Do you want to talk about music people that should be canceled? Look at it, like ICP, Twisted, like some of the shit they used to say back in the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, I almost got off and started talking about the W word.
The W word? That
we're not going to discuss this episode, because it was something that they did involving the W word that they did in a video that someone was... Okay, no, because we're going to start talking about wrestling. Moving on. Anyway, so I found it. So you know how Spotify does the end of the year wrap up each year? Last year, I listened to 1,353 minutes of Weezer, and I was in the top 0.5% of Weezer listeners. But it's even worse, because the post that I commented this on, this guy listened to 2,800. No, I fucked that up. I have a hard time reading numbers. I think I'm dyslexic with numbers. Like I can read, I can read words fine, but
decimal places
numbers and commas fuck me up. 28,371 minutes of Weezer, and he was in the 0.001% of listeners. So
there's no way that dude just had that shit playing on all his apps and left
he had
the house.
to. But no, so for me, I was in the top 0.5% of Weezer listeners this year.
Did you get a plaque?
Last year.
Did you get a plaque?
No, but I really should. Because I really do listen to a lot of Weezer. No, so yeah, lately I've been, so Spotify does this thing where they will make playlists that are niche playlists. And when I say niche playlist, they make the most fucking specific playlists in the, like, they are the most specific, like down to the fucking, like, oh my God, like why did you, and they're just for you. So there's a playlist that they made that was dark, sad playlist, angry, sad playlist, moody, sad playlist, angry rock.
What's this saying about your life, though?
No, these are just the ones that were at the top. Here's your nighttime mix. Here's your chill morning mix. Here's your punk pop mix. Here's your da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I've really been... we can make the jokes about how I listen to a lot of Weezer or whatever, but I've really been trying to, like, kind of branch out on my music in a certain way. So I've been trying to find, like, new, not genres necessarily, but just, well, again, branch out. I've been listening a lot to Maneskin, their most recent album that came out. It's called Rush. It's really good. That's not a been on repeat album, but because I'm the type of guy that I'm going to listen to a whole album. I just like to listen to a whole album. You have to. And I think that you're kind of cutting an artist short by just listening to the singles. You got to get those deep tracks in there too. You got to get those deep cuts in there.
The deep cuts are half the time better than what they put out. And
I literally have a playlist that I've made that's just deep cuts.
All of Weezer?
There's a couple, but no, like, I'll tell you who I'm a huge fan of, and I really don't hear people talk about this band. I really like the band Sleigh Bells. Have you listened to them?
No.
You probably would not like Sleigh Bells.
Is it all Christmas music?
No. They're really good. It's a duo. It's a woman singer and then a guy guitar player / percussion. Then they have, like, touring members, obviously.
So the White Stripes.
No, it's not White Stripes. Oh. Yeah, it's not. They sound nothing like White Stripes. They're okay. Did you watch Jessica Jones on Netflix?
Nope.
Okay, fuck. Then I haven't heard them. Then I can't make any comparisons of what they've been on for you to have heard. But anyway, they use a Sleigh Bells song in a Jessica Jones one. That's what turned me on to them.
I'm not afraid to try new music, so I'll check them out.
Okay, I'll definitely. Well, when we're done recording, maybe I'll play some for you. But their last album that came out last year, it's called Texas with an I, Texis. It's a really good album. And then they had an EP come out a couple years ago called Kid Khrushchev, and that's the type of album that all the songs kind of blend together. Mm-hmm. And I really like it. It's I don't think that you can put an EP in a top 10 favorite albums of all time. But maybe you can. Who cares? But I really like it. But yeah, I'll play some for you whenever. Okay. I think you would really be into it. They're like sometimes they're like kind of like not heavy, but like kind of poppy. But then there's like some kind of dark and moody songs, especially on Kid Khrushchev.
See, like,
is really dark and moody.
You know, I'm a big true crime and murder guy.
Yeah.
Nico turned me onto a band called Skinned.
You've told me about them, yes.
And I'm really into their stuff. It's a chick. She's the lead singer, and she goes from everything from death metal to like sensual, like classical voice while she's singing, and it's amazing. And all their songs are based on true crime stories, which is a big visual picture inside your head too, which I'm really big about that. Like, I want to connect to the music. I don't want just words thrown together.
So you want to talk about female singers. It feels like every single, I don't want to overgeneralize here or stereotype, but it feels like every single girl that I have swiped through, whether it be left or right on Bumble, because you can link your Spotify to your Bumble and you can see top artists. 9 times out of 10, their top 2 artists.
Taylor Swift?
Yes, and Ethel Cain.
I don't know what an Ethel Cain is.
I didn't know who she was either, but she's like apparently this dark, moody female singer. She kind of reminded me a little bit of Lana Del Rey. A little bit, which funny thing, nope, because it almost segued me into talking about it, because it was a book that someone wrote where they talk about Lana Del Rey. Yeah, I'm a big fan of female singers. I really am.
So am I.
Yeah. So back to Spotify, my top 5 artists last year, which was really funny. It was number 1 was Weezer, 2 was Sleigh Bells. 3 was Childish Gambino, which we'll start talking about him in a minute. 4 was Tyler, and then 5 was Alan Jackson.
What?
Dude, Lot About Living and A Little About Love is legitimately one of my top 10 favorite albums
My
of all
baby
time.
mama's dad could have been a body double for Alan Jackson.
I love Alan Jackson. Like, I'm not a country music guy. You remember back in the day on MySpace when it's like your music taste and every profile was, I'll listen to anything except rap or country.
Yeah.
It was always those.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what it reminds me of. Like, I'm the same way, because like I will listen to, but I only like country music like from the 90s, because I think that it's kind of a subliminal thing with me, because A Lot About Living, A Little About Love, which is the album that Chattahoochee is on, Mercury Blues. I could just start
smile and nod.
I could just start saying things. Stovetop was on that album. But that my dad used to play that album a lot whenever he would drive. And I think that it kind of ingrained in me that Alan Jackson has kind of stuck with me. But that's like the only country I'll listen to is him.
I'm not a big fan of country, but like I have to agree with you. Like country in the 90s just hit different. Like my mom and dad were big into country, so like George Strait,
High 99,
Garth
WTHI.
Local
Not
plug.
to go local, but High 99, WTHI.
Side note, that's where I won all my free tickets from. That word we can't talk about.
Oh, yeah, I got a few there from there. I got a couple from there, too. So my all-time favorite album, I have 2 albums, 2 vinyls hanging on my wall. One of them is the Red album by Weezer, which is like my 3rd or 4th favorite album of all time. It's my favorite Weezer album of all time. And then the other one is Camp by Childish Gambino. I love that album so much. Like, I can listen to Camp cover to cover any day of the week. Like, it's so good. Like, Donald Glover, Childish Gambino is, man, he's my favorite rapper of all time. Like, he genuinely is.
Oh yeah. Like if we're going favorite albums cover to cover that you can listen to on repeat without a problem.
Yeah.
Mine would be Twisted's Abominations.
You turned me on to that album, and that's a really good album.
Like lyrically, production wise, like that album can't be fucked with.
Yeah, we listened to that album actually while we were painting the MadBash studio,
Exactly.
or attempting to paint the MadBash studios.
It sounds like nothing else they put out and nothing they're ever going to put out again.
So I think Twisted brings us into to the next line of conversation here about how Dickie Wabash in the last couple of years has accepted that he actually is a closet juggalo.
And that he's going to the gathering.
I want to go to the gathering so bad. Like, just because. I don't know why. Like, I feel like that's a bucket list item.
It's not going to be like anything in the past, like the whole
No, and I
family
feel
era.
like that I'm really getting shortchanged. I feel
You're
like that
gonna be getting
I missed out on
shortchanged.
the golden years.
But it's going to be okay, though, because, like, we got everyone from Sick Fucks that'll hang out with us and all that, so we'll make up for it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, so, you know, I did accept that I am a closet juggalo, and we've had this conversation many a times, but, you know, just because we've had these conversations doesn't mean that we can't rehash them with microphones recording them, because people haven't had these conversations with us. My personal favorite ICP album and your personal favorite ICP album are different, and we both have different reasons for it. Mine is Riddlebox, and yours is
The Great Malenko.
The Great Malenko. Yeah. Wait a minute. I thought wasn't it Shangri-La?
No, that's my second favorite.
Okay, so yours is The Great Malenko. So Madrox and I had this idea, and we've talked about this all the time, where we come up with dumb ideas and they actually come to fruition. This is one that I really want to do. You know what one I'm talking about, I sure hope.
The Derby?
We want to enter a demolition derby in an ice cream truck painted silver with green polka dots, and we want to put a clown head on top of it, specifically the Great Malenko clown head. Or not, he's not a clown, but that head on the end. To make it look like Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal. And we want to pull in there just on a repeat loop, Great Malenko, Great Malenko. And we're going to throw ice cream bars out to the crowd. And then what was the other thing that we were going to do? There was one other thing.
The Lawnmower Derby.
Oh, yeah. No. With that ice cream truck specifically. What was the other thing that we said we were going to do? We said that we were going to play Great Malenko, but there was one other thing that we said that we were going to do. Was it we were just going to talk shit to him over the loudspeaker.
Over the loudspeaker.
Yeah, as we were hitting them. But
this is because we went to one demolition derby and our redneck came out.
Yeah, we walk out, and we get there, and Madrox goes, I don't know how to redneck. And we were just like I show up, and I'm wearing my Georgetown Jordan 3s, and we're like standing there, and I think it was
we were in the pit.
Yeah, we were in the
right
pit
next to the fence, and
and I think it was Mikey, your cousin, told me he ran in the derby, and he was like, "You guys are going to get mud on you," and I go, "I'm wearing $300 shoes." And then everyone in that crowd just immediately looked at me. And
this
then I was
is how
like,
good of a friend I am. I let Dickie sit behind me.
I sat behind you.
I gave him shit to put over his shoes to protect.
I was the only person at that fucking derby wearing Jordan 3s. Like, it was hilarious because I was like such a fish out of water. I was so ill prepared because it's like, you guys have probably figured this out along the way. Dickie Wabash is bitch made. I'm bougie as fuck. And I am always going to be in a situation where it's like, there is a piece of clothing on me that if it gets damaged, I'm going to be very upset about it because I probably spent a lot of money on it. Whether it be a limited edition t-shirt or shoes or a hat or...
But you're also the type of person that instantly, if something happens, go out of your way to order a replacement right then and there.
Did we ever tell the story about the Ravenclaw pin?
I think we did.
So real quick, I'll run it back real quick. I had a Ravenclaw pin on my blazer for an EPW show, and I left it at the building, and I get a hold of Steven, the promoter, and I'm like, hey, brother, is my blazer still at the building? And he took a while to get back to me, and I panicked, so I just ordered another pin because that's the type of person that I am.
And then like an hour later, he wrote you back, and he was like, yeah, bro, I got it.
No, it wasn't even an hour. Within 5 minutes of the order confirmation, he wrote me, yeah, brother, I have it. But the good news is I gave just gave the Ravenclaw pin to a friend of mine. She's also a Ravenclaw.
So it worked out in the end for you.
Yeah, I was kind of depending on the fact I was like, oh, please tell me you're a Ravenclaw because I have a pin for you. But yeah. So back to ICP. I was. How do I word it? Let's be honest. Like I said, up until a couple years ago, I didn't accept I was a closet juggalo. But Dickie Wabash is also a very self-conscious person and doesn't want to be judged, which I think is the complete opposite of what being a juggalo is. Yes. And I listened to a lot of ICP in high school, but I kind of hid it. A little bit. And that's why Riddlebox is my favorite ICP album, because that was my first one. And that was the one that I listened to a lot. And that's another one. I can probably do cover to cover on that album if I really wanted to.
You could.
Yeah, I probably could. Then
ain't it a great feeling when like You break out of your shell and you're not worried about other people's opinions and you're just living to make you the best you are.
I still have that in me a little bit though, but not as bad as I used to be. Now I just let it. Who cares? Like, I'm going to be me, unapologetically me. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I think we said it last time. Like, we may not be everyone's cup of tea, but the people that do enjoy said tea, then, you know, that's the people I'm going to worry about.
But if we're talking about ICP, though, we have everything to think that what MadBash just became to ICP.
Do you want to say why specifically?
We can't, because we can't go down that road.
Guys, we're not doing this on purpose. This is just how ingrained that fucking business is into our souls.
God, man. This is hard.
It's very hard.
We're not even a half hour in yet.
No, it's hard to not talk about that word. But, Riddlebox is in my top 5. This is not to discredit Great Milenko. It's a good album, but yeah, Riddlebox is my favorite. That was your
first, wasn't it?
I just said that, yeah. Riddlebox was my first. No, wrong, actually. Jekyll Brothers was my first.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then for a long time, that was my favorite one. And then I listened more to Riddlebox, like, within the up until a year ago, I was like, yeah, Jekyll Brothers is my favorite ICP album. And then I listened, and I always liked Riddlebox. It was my second. Mm-hmm. And then they switched.
That's understandable, though.
Yeah, they definitely switched. But you talk about we were talking about stories, like how albums tell stories. Those are my favorite ICP songs where it's a story, where it's like whether the Shaggy Show or Ned and Game or
visual masterpiece,
Joker's Wild, Three Rings, where it's like you can literally picture Violent J like as a game show host, like hosting the Joker's Wild in your head, and like I love stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And they're experts of that. Well, they were. I'm not familiar with their newer shit, but you've told me that it's like.
I played you some stuff, and you were like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, but, so yeah, that's where we are music wise. I mean, and there's more that we can definitely dive into. I mean, like, you know, like I said, my all time favorite band is Weezer, but for a while it was System of a Down. Love System. We talked about it a little bit, but when we were playing Weezer for Logan Madrox, we pull up to the building and we didn't even do it we just forgot. And I was like, so what do we introduce him to next? And you said, oh, we got to show him System. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, what song do we start with? And I think we started with Chop Suey. I think that's where you have to start. And we played him Chop Suey, and then we were like, okay, we're going to play you more songs on the way. And we just didn't, but that's not important to the story. That was the trip where he had his first adrenaline crash.
Yes, it is.
It was awesome to see him have it. I mean, I felt bad for him, but he had his first post-show come down, and he was like in the back seat, guys, I don't feel good.
We were like an hour into the drive, too, and he's like just talking his head off. That was so cool. Brian Pillman Jr. this, Brian Pillman Jr.
No,
that.
You're getting the shows mixed up.
No.
Was it the Washington show?
show?
Oh, that was his adrenaline crash. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I feel like I'm going to puke.
Yeah. Yeah, and he tried to, but how annoying was it that on the way back, like every gas station was closed?
That was horrible.
Do you realize
this poor kid just wanted something to drink, and like every gas station, every restaurant was closed down. I'm like, what in the hell is this COVID shit?
By the way, we failed.
Oh shit.
It just clicked with me. I'm like, we just failed. We just failed because we're talking about fucking wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, we would like to take you to our ad sponsors.
Hey, that's my part. I'm the one that segues into the ad reads.
My turn now.
Okay, fine. Fuck it. Roll it. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is powered by Sewer Layer Toys, located at 3197 South 3rd Place in Terre Haute, Indiana. Guys, let me tell you one thing about Sewer Layer Toys, right? You're going to walk in, you're going to see a bunch of stuff that you want to buy, and you're going to be thinking to yourself, man, do I really want to buy this? Do I really need this stuff? Well, yeah, you do. You're going to walk in there, you're going to see a plethora, an endless amount of vintage toys, of retro toys, of modern toys, of that toy that maybe you had as a kid and you vaguely remember it, you're going to see it there. Very fairly priced. Listen, I go in there and I love it. I get most of my collectibles there. Same goes for Madrox. We love these guys. Go in there, tell them the Spot Show podcast sent you, just so that I can prove to Scott that people are actually listening to us and that we are actually worth tying our name to them. I'm joking, of course. Listen, Scott and Andrew are two great guys. They run a really, really good store located in Terre Haute. Again, if you go to 3197 South 3rd Place, that is behind the mall in Terre Haute, Indiana, go in there to Sewer Layer Toys. You are going to find some really, really good stuff. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is also brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling. Listen, I'm going to tell you one thing about Elite Pro Wrestling right now, right? I'm going to get a little bit personal about it for a minute, right? Elite Pro Wrestling made me love pro wrestling again. They put on an incredible product. If you want to see what Elite Pro Wrestling has going on, you can go to facebook.com/EPW Elite. There you are going to find a list of upcoming shows. You're going to find videos from past shows. You are going to find everything that you need to know about Elite Pro Wrestling. If you are in the area of Odin, Indiana, or sometimes Washington, Indiana, then you are going to want to check out Elite Pro Wrestling. Some of the best pro wrestling in the state of Indiana, and I truly, truly mean that. So again, go to facebook.com/EPW Elite for everything that you need to know about Elite Pro Wrestling. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is also brought to you by BurntBuds.com. You can check out Burnt Buds for all your cannabis-inspired clothing, jewelry, and accessories, and guess what? You can know that you're doing good. Burnt Buds has non-binary sizing up to 4XL, and here's the best part of all, 1% of all Burnt Buds profit goes to charities such as the Last Prisoner Project and the Trevor Project. Cannabis not your thing? Well, I got good news for you. Burnt Buds also has a variety of humor, Rasta, and LGBTQ plus themed clothing and jewelry. But I'm going to sweeten the deal here a little bit for you. If you go on over to burntbuds.com and use our promo code SPOTSHOW10, you are going to get 10% off your entire purchase. Again, that is Spot Show, the number 10, for 10% off your purchase at burntbuds.com. That is BURNTBUDZ.com. You can also check them out on Facebook at Burnt Buds. Check them out on Instagram at burnt_buds. Again, go to burntbuds.com, promo code SPOTSHOW10 for 10% off your entire purchase. So we failed. We proved that we have to talk about wrestling at some point, but hey,
it was
you
a
know
good
what?
laugh, though.
By the way, midway through you talking about the car ride back, did you see the look on my face? My eyes got real big, and I was like, fuck, we just failed.
And I didn't put two and two together until you said something, and it just hit me upside the head like a folding chair.
Oh, my God. There we go again. But, yeah, so music is... And, you know, I talked... You know, when I was seeing my therapist earlier this year and the end of last year, which... I'm trying to kill that stigma of let's not talk about the fact that you seek therapy and stuff because
Yeah,
you
I
should.
think we already broke that on my half episode. Like,
Yeah, you should
we're gonna
not be
open
ashamed.
with you guys.
But anyway, yeah, I sought therapy and it was awesome. I was talking with her and I'm like, I'm the type of person that I don't pivot away from my feelings. I pivot into them. So when I'm sad, I'm going to listen to sad music. When I'm happy, I'm going to listen to happy music. You know, I'm
completely opposite. Like,
so you go, okay.
When I'm happy, I want angry, loud music. When I'm sad, I want angry, loud music.
So you just want angry, loud music.
It's therapy, man. Like, the angrier it is, the more depressing the music is. Like, my body knows how to relate to it. And those bands and artists. Wow, way to fuck up the shot, Dickie.
I accidentally, my smartwatch bumped a text that my buddy just sent me, and I started calling him.
He no-sold your ass
He
live
did a
on the
good
air.
thing though, because we almost
Had a guest sponsor.
yeah. Go on while I text him back and apologize.
But like, back to the visual storytelling, like that music, those artists, like, they're better with their lyrics to paint pictures instead of like this pocky punk, happy, let's do drugs, screw bitches music you hear on the radio.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that it's so cliche. It is so cliche to say that, you know, music is the backbone, but it really is. It really is. There's a reason that it's a cliche.
Yeah.
Because it's true, you know? Now let me close my text I just got from him so my watch doesn't try to call him again. I love smartwatches.
Damn AI.
But it's that goddamn AI, brother. But they're in, like, I genuinely do not try to talk about them so much, but I'm sorry, they're my favorite band. Like, Weezer legitimately, I think, has a song for every mood that I want to be in. Like, Taste Like Pain off of Seasons Autumn is my sad song. And then Beverly Hills is my happy song, or, you know, whatever. But
Like, I've heard Beverly Hills before.
well, I mean, that summer,
Like, is that a happy song though?
for me, it is.
Like, that guy sounds miserable and wants a different life.
I mean, it's kind of like, oh, hey, you know, for me, it's kind of happy.
I look at the lyrics to paint the pictures.
Yeah, and I think another thing too is that
I read deep into songs. Like,
oh, I do too. But I think a lot of things with their lyrics is and I don't know if we talked about this, why I like them so much when we originally talked about it, but it's just a lot of their lyrics are just guy down on his luck, you know, trying to fall in love, a lot of them, you know,
Real
and
life.
I think that that's what I relate to with them. You know, like, my favorite song by them is Perfect Situation. And by the way, Matt Maverick is not going to listen to this episode. He's going to be so mad. God damn it, talking about Weezer for so fucking long. My favorite song by them is
we're
Perfect
just a Weezer
Situation.
podcast anymore.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it wheezy. But Perfect Situation, like, he's literally talking about, like, there's the pitch, slow and straight. All I have to do is swing, and I'm a hero, but I'm a zero. You know, stuff like that. But then, like, so the other thing too is that, you know, like I said, System of a Down was my all-time favorite band in high school, and so then a lot of their music has a message to it, like social activism and stuff. So then naturally I leaned into that whole thing, and I was like a pretentious social justice warrior in high school.
Here?
Yeah.
High school. Still, this album came out from System of a Down.
No, Steal This Album did not come out in. No, Steal This Album was
High school.
Steal This Album was Toxicity was 01. No, because Hypnotize and Mesmerize came out in 06.
So middle school then.
So it was middle school.
Kmart time, if this tells you anything.
Yeah.
I actually stole the album.
You stole this album?
Yes.
I always throw around in my head if Hypnotize is my favorite System album or if Steal This Album is my favorite System
This
album.
album's very underrated.
Steal This Album is their most underrated album because did you ever hear Toxicity 2?
No.
It was the leak of the demo of Steal This Album, and a lot of the songs off Steal This Album like sound a little bit differently.
Like different production.
Yeah, and Mr. Jack, which is the best song on that album in my opinion, sounds like a completely different song, but the band didn't know they didn't have a name for the album yet, so fans started calling it Toxicity 2 because it was the follow-up to Toxicity. But their first album is really underrated as well. That's a good album. Peephole, War, Sugar.
A lot of bands' first albums go under the radar and underrated.
Yeah.
And it's a damn shame because like those are their debut albums where they put everything into it.
It's always the sophomore album that
gets
people,
blown up.
yeah.
Well, that's their best work. No, go back and listen to the first damn album because I guarantee they hit it harder and they go stronger in that first just to make their name known.
What's a band that you like that whether they just didn't release music enough or they ended up folding or something that like is not very well known, but the point is they're not around anymore. They weren't around for very long. But what's a band, do you have one that you love even though they were only around for a handful of years?
Oh, damn.
Because I have an answer ready if you need me to go.
I don't think I do because like all the music I like, they're all still together in some way.
Yeah.
Like I could easily say Dark Lotus, but
yeah, I can see that.
4 of the 6 members on Magic Ninja right now still doing Dark Lotus songs, so like
that's fair. Yeah.
Can't really say like
there was this band called Fair to Midland. You ever heard of them?
Nope.
They were awesome and they only had 2 albums. And Anchors and Arrows, their second album, I love that album. It's so good. To bring it back to System of a Down, they were on Serj Tankian's label. He signed them to his label, Surgical Strike. You'll talk about a good like solo album. Elect the Dead is a good first solo showing. Surge's first album, it's really good.
I really like the shit he did with Tech 9 too.
Oh, Straight Out the Gate.
Tech
Straight Out the Gate is an awesome song.
Tech 9 brings all these rockers in and like brings out the best in them. Like he did it with Surge, he did it with Corey Taylor, he did it with the Deftones. Like,
yeah,
Tech's on a whole nother level.
Yeah, I think that's what is really cool is that you can take an artist who can blend genres of music and like, because why would you think that Serj Tankian would work with a rap song?
Yeah, exactly. Like Prozac does it too. He's got Sid Wilson from Slipknot doing songs with him, which is awesome. But then you got to look at Twisted, like their new shit. They're bringing in like all kinds of heavy hitters. Danny Filth, they're bringing in the lead singer of Ice Nine Kills. He's got features on the songs. Like, it's really good to see different artists collabing with like aspects you never thought you would see.
Like
before.
genre bending.
Yes.
Yeah, genre bending I'm a big fan of like bringing different sounds that you would not think that would work together, so there was, okay, go on.
Back to the Amazing Jackal Brothers. Did you ever think in a million fucking years you would hear Snoop Dogg, ODB, and ICP all on the same album?
Do you know the story about the ODB recording?
That he was so fucked up they couldn't use half of it.
They couldn't use half of it. And like, that's not even what the song was supposed to be, but they were just left with all this shit. But yeah, it's like Snoop Dogg is in a fucking Insane Clown Posse song. Like,
yeah.
Which is, I love that song.
I don't know if you ever looked into this, but Twisted's got a song called Independence Day.
I don't think I have.
Every song has a guest feature by someone in the independent rap genre that has shaped or formed history. Like they got songs with the Dog Pound from Death Row Records. They got songs with Tech 9. They got songs with D12. Like, you have to look into it, bud.
That's cool. To talk about, there was an album that came out and it's called Loud Rocks. Have you ever heard it?
Nope.
It's got System of a Down on it, but I can't say the full name of this song because it would get me canceled. But there's an ODB song called Shame on, you know the song I'm talking about?
Yeah.
System of a Down does a cover of it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you've not heard that, that's another one I'll play for you when we're done. It's awesome. And Serj Tankian fucking lays it down on the vocals. It is awesome. That man has such a wide range with his vocals. It's
like
crazy.
Five Finger Death Punch covering LL Cool J.
Yeah, like, it's like when you take a song and you have it covered by a different like genre. I love that shit.
Oh yeah.
When you can take a song that is a rap song and make it a rock song, or vice versa, or take like this slow song and then turn it into like blah, 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 you know, whatever. Which, you know, the song Firestarter, right?
Yes.
The Gene Simmons cover that he
Yes.
did of it is the worst fucking thing in the world, but I love it so goddamn
Gene
much.
Simmons got a worse song than that.
Which is?
When You Wish Upon a Star off his solo album. Have you heard that?
Oh, fuck yes.
Walt Disney was returning in his grave.
Oh, God. Yeah. But you talk about covers, when they did the live action Lion King and they redid, it was Childish Gambino and Beyonce did Can You Feel the Love Tonight? That's a good one.
Who do you think is the artist that does the best covers? Because I got one person in my mind that no matter what the cover is he touches, it comes out phenomenal.
I mean, again, I hate the Teal album was really good. It was all covers. But I've really never thought about that.
Marilyn Manson.
Okay, Marilyn Manson does have
Pain
good
and
covers.
Love, Sweet Dreams, like
Personal Jesus.
Personal Jesus.
Johnny Cash.
With Hurt.
He's done a couple other songs,
Has
though. Yeah. But yeah, Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt is like the definitive version of Hurt, in my opinion. Like, sorry, Trent Reznor.
Going back to cover songs, though, in the underground scene, Loki, his
Oh, yeah, you played that album for me.
Cotton Candy or Candy Corn and cover songs.
Yeah, because
good.
he covered Play With Me, and that's literally in a playlist on Spotify for me. I like that cover a lot.
Yeah, he covers everything on those albums, and he's fucking phenomenal by switching his shit up, too.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever you can take a song that like no one expected and then it's like this person is covering this and then you're like, oh,
It's when they make it their own. That
is what's very important about it, is that you have to make it your own. You can't try to imitate the artist.
No.
Rage Against the Machine's fourth album is all covers, and it's a really good. It's got like Renegades of The Ghost of Tom Joad. Their cover of The Ghost of Tom Joad is so good.
Can we just throw it out there, like Fozzie's early shit when it was all cover songs?
Yeah, and Jericho was trying to do the Andy Kaufman gimmick where he was Moon Goose McQueen,
Yes.
and then he dropped it real quick. And he was trying to like keep kayfabe into it.
Damn, we did it again.
I mean, it's whatever. So, I mean, yeah, that was because it was originally supposed to be Fozzy Osbourne was the name of Fozzy.
Yes,
and then they just
did Black Sabbath covers.
Yeah, and I think they did a half and half album. Hollywood Undead did on their second album. They did a couple of covers that it was like okay, but these are odd. They did Shout at the Devil, and it was really good. Man, I've rediscovered Hollywood Undead a little bit lately, and not counting Desperate Measures because that's like half live album. No, it's like a third live album, a third original songs, and then a third cover. So it's kind of a weird one, but their first two albums, Swan Songs and American Tragedy, unfuckwithable.
Yeah,
they are very good albums. And what was it that
now is just way too mainstream and poppy. Like,
I tried to listen to their new shit. It's just not the same.
No, they didn't Deuce back.
Like whenever no.
Oh God, yes.
I did not like Deuce.
Deuce is the one that wrote half the lyrics for the first 12.
Which is true. But well, no, not the first, because Deuce wasn't on American Tragedy.
But they still use the lyrics.
Oh yeah.
They just edited him out.
Yeah. I forgot where I was going with this, but oh yeah. I made the comment to you. I was like, Hollywood Undead was for people who didn't want to admit they were juggalos. Because they had the masks and they had the gimmick and
they stole from the Juggalos.
Yeah, I actually stole a nickname that I used to use from Hollywood Undead. Johnny Three Tears, which is a fucking dope name, he used to call himself J3T. I started calling myself J2T.
Yeah.
Whenever I would do stuff
on your old YouTube channel.
No, this is even before that. This is even before Dickie Wabash. This was like my old gamer tag on 360 was J2 the T with the number 2, and I just shortened it to J2T. But yeah, I recently went up to, well, it was on the way up for the Canada trip, actually, I believe. I listened to Swan Songs cover to cover, listened to American Tragedy cover to cover. And yeah, American Tragedy is a very good album. And it's a dope name. It's like when you can, like, if you can pull in with a dope name, like, that's how it's even better.
That's how like half the shit gets done right there. You got a dope name and something marketable. Boom, you're off to the races.
Exactly.
But like, enough about music. What's a movie that's on repeat for you right now?
I just recently watched Goodfellas, which I've said this before. Goodfellas is my all-time favorite movie.
Yeah. Goodfellas
is the greatest movie ever made. I fucking love that movie. But the movie that that's not a movie that you can just throw on and have on in the background. I mean, you can, but there's a laundry list of movies that if I went through and told you that, you know, one of the weirdest movies that I could watch any day of the week. It's not even a movie. It's a documentary. I'm a documentary guy. I love documentaries. I made one. Have you ever seen The King of Kong?
I have not.
About the Donkey Kong high score?
Nope.
Back in like 2006. It is the greatest documentary ever fucking made, and it has the greatest heel in the history of heel in this movie.
So
Billy
it's like Pixels.
No, not even that. It's about this guy who held the world record for the Donkey Kong high score. And then this guy comes in and he breaks the record after like 20 years. And then I'm not going to go into it because the story that is told is re-fucking ridiculous. And it just goes off on this thing. It's like, how did this fucking happen? And like, he pulls shit out and fucks this guy over. And like, to give you this, Billy Mitchell guy that originally held the world record, he has a hot sauce company during the time of this, and it shows videos of him like going into like grocery stores and moving his sauce in front of other people's sauce on the shelf. Like, that's the type of guy he is. It's the fucking best.
That's something you would do.
It absolutely is. You gotta watch, dude. It's so good.
Like, you still haven't seen Air, so we can't talk about that.
I really want to. I really want to.
Could have like a Matt Damon, man. You can't go wrong.
No.
And I've been watching Terrifier 2 to go to sleep at night for the past couple nights.
Still not seen the Terrifier movies. I'm not a huge horror guy.
Dude, like, just the spectacle of gore is enough to watch them.
Yeah. I think the thing with horror, though, is there's definitely obviously subgenres. And like gore horror, I'm not grossed out by it. Like, I don't have a weak stomach to it. I can see it, but it's just like, it just doesn't appeal to me.
Well, it's like sadistic, and the fact that the art doesn't say anything
makes it a little bit creepier.
It makes the actor so much better because he's telling a whole story just with his body movement.
Well, see, this just goes to show you how different you and I are when it comes to horror movies. I loved Barbarian, and you did not like Barbarian.
Barbarian was a meth victim that I could walk up and down any street to see run around naked screaming at people. Like,
yeah,
that movie was bad.
So I have no problem talking about this because by the time this podcast goes live, I feel like we're within the threshold, unless you don't want spoilers, of talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Do you care?
I don't care.
Okay. By the time this comes out, I feel like that everyone would have seen it. Spoilers, jump ahead a little bit if you don't want to hear spoilers for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But there is a scene in that movie that I cannot get out of my fucking head. It, even thinking it, like, I'm starting to get a little emotional just thinking about it. There is a part in that movie that is so fucking heartbreaking, dude, because I hate to see helpless animals. And that's what this whole movie...
Everyone is posting about that scene on Facebook.
I don't think it's the exact same one, though, because there's a specific thing to it. So Rocket Raccoon is like experimented on and fucked with, and there's a scene where he's little baby Rocket and the hand reaches in and pulls him out, and then it cuts to him in the surgical room, and then it cuts to him after, and they just throw him in a cage, and he's like just there all scared. I'm gonna start crying, I think, because I'm going to explain to you why it is so fucking sad to me. But he's there, and you can see the the scar and the fresh stitching around his fucking head.
I just wanted to stop you for a minute and let everyone know he's not making this shit up. His eyes are turning red.
It's so fucking sad, dude. It's so sad. And like, he's got, like, you can see the fresh stitching around his fucking head. Blood is coming out of his head, and he's just cowered down and he's fucking scared. And then one of the other like experimental animals like looks at him and is like, "Are you okay?" And he looks up at her and goes, "Hurts." It's so fucking sad. And like, I'm gonna open up here about something because you opened up a couple podcasts ago. I had this cat named Noodle, and he was the greatest fucking cat in the world. I fucking loved that cat. And he died suddenly and tragically. Like, he was only 2 years old. And the day that he died is ingrained in my fucking skull because I was just sitting, and then I just hear this guttural fucking just scream coming from him. And cats don't pant.
No, they don't.
Cats are not supposed to pant, and I could not figure out what was wrong with this poor fucking cat. And he just had this look on his face of like, "Help me. Like, please help me. I don't know what's happening right now. Please help me." And I can't believe I'm telling this story because it's a very personal thing, but fuck it. I mean,
dude, I'm proud of you.
You were
I've heard this story.
It's fucking, dude, it's so hard to even think about it because like my last time that I got to see him was him with that look on his face and putting him in the carrier to take him to the vet. And then that assistant walking in and telling me that he had passed away, it fucking crushed me. Like, and so to see a character that I have grown to love
over all these years,
overall with Rocket Raccoon, it hurts. And he's got the blood dripping down his forehead.
It
like,
just brought back that
it
PTSD.
made me think of poor Noodle, and it was, oh my God. And you know, we talked about it with the music, but movies do it just as much, where if they can tap into an emotion in you,
it pulls you right in.
But that's why, like, with horror movies, my favorite horror movie of all time is Hereditary. Love Hereditary. And there's like, I mean, it's a fucking 4-year-old movie at this point. But
what people don't know is you just recently got into horror movies
because of Hereditary.
Yes.
Well, I've always been into horror movies. I always liked found footage movies.
Yeah.
But then A24, who we don't have enough time to get into how much I love A24. Every movie, well, there's been a couple I didn't like, but I'm an A24 guy. People get annoyed with me talking about how much I love A24 movies. Fucking Florida Project, mid-90s, The Whale, Red Rocket, Uncut Gems, Hereditary, The Witch, Lighthouse, blah, 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 blah. But Hereditary, there's a swerve where, you know, and you know the scene where she hits the light pole and she's dead, and then Toni Collette discovers the body, and you just see this guttural, she's just screaming, "I wanna fucking die." Like, we've all been in that situation where we are so devastated that we just want to give up.
Yeah.
And we can relate to that on such a deep level. And I wish that we had more time to talk about movies, but because there's other things to really dive into it with it. But yeah, I love A24 movies, man. And Hereditary, like, that movie, like, that moment is like, again, it's that you can relate.
It's that human connection.
The human connection. And if you can make a human connection with something, then
that's what AI can
do.
do.
And like Flynn, you know, you're right there. Like, making the connection with, like, watching things. Like, when I first met Sean Schimmel, the voice of Goku, I almost like teared up a little bit, like telling him, like, "Dude, you're the voice of my childhood. You're blah, 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 blah," because you just have these feelings and these emotions and shit, you know?
It's like you connect with them. Like,
yeah.
Everyone shit on Dexter, the ending of it, but I was devastated that his sister died.
Yeah, I never watched Dexter, so I don't really comment on that one.
I highly recommend it, bro.
See, you never, because you started Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to spoil you. But, like, people didn't like the ending of Game of Thrones. I loved it. I thought it made sense. And it devastated me because the thing that happens, it's like, it's arguably a thing that a character, I'm going to tread lightly here.
Just go ahead and spoil it.
A thing when Jon,
I've already seen it when the series ended. All the spoilers. And
okay,
shit,
so when Jon Snow kills Daenerys, it's like that's our own worst our own worst fear. I feel like where we have to kill someone that we love in order to make things better.
Yeah,
like, could you imagine? Like, and that's why. Okay, so there are shows. How do I put this delicately? Because I don't want to alienate people. There are shows and movies that are junk food for our brains that you don't have to put much thought into. They're just simple, turn them on, whatever.
quick comfort shows.
Shows like Big Bang Theory. Shows like... Huh?
That's not junk food for my brain. I'll never watch that
Well,
shit.
no, what I mean is there's a certain audience
Yeah.
that would watch that and be fuck it. There are shows that are made for stupid people.
Yes.
I'm just going to say it. And honestly, The Walking Dead is a show for fucking stupid people.
Hey, The
Because
Walking Dead season 1 was great.
The Walking Dead season 1 is one of the best first seasons of a show I've ever fucking seen. Like, a good example of a movie that is made for stupid people is Bohemian Rhapsody. Because the reason you like that movie is because... What are you doing?
Nothing.
You liked Bohemian Rhapsody?
No, I was doing Night at the Roxbury.
Oh, Night at the Roxbury. The reason that you like Bohemian Rhapsody is because you like Queen's music. It's because you had to put zero thought into the fucking movie. Like, I am not trying to be superior than anyone here, but I want a show to make me think. I want a movie to make me think. I want to invest in it. I don't just simply want Penny, Bazinga, or... Okay, here's another thing, too. To go back into The Walking Dead, Andrew Lincoln is not a good actor. I'm sorry. He's fucking not good. Like the scene in The Walking Dead where he has to kill Shane. Like that's supposed to be this gravity defining moment. It's like supposed to be, dude, that scene is funny to me. Damn you for making me do this, Shane. How dare you make me do this? And he's like crying. And then
I always thought that scene reminded me like a bad episode of Cops. Like
it's
when
terrible.
the rednecks were fighting in the trailer park over whose wife it is with the cousin. And they just fight each other to the death. Like, I was like, oh, damn. This is like some Kentucky type shit here.
Oh, it's such terrible acting. And the scene where Carl comes out with the baby and Lori is dead. And then his cry is
My
so
favorite
bad.
Carl scene ever is the music video Bad Lip Reading did out for Carl called Carl Papa. I highly recommend you
I'll have
watch
to check
it.
that out. I have to check that out. I want to kind of go back. I don't want to... I apologize for saying that those shows are for stupid people, but I mean, it's just like those. And if you like those shows,
Let's
okay.
rephrase that. They're not for stupid people. They're for people with low attention spans.
Exactly.
They're, like I said, comfort shows where you can casually watch them and not miss a whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And The Walking Dead just got so laughable towards like where it's going now. It's just like, how can you still look at this show and think it's good? It's not good.
It
The
ended up
only
nothing like the
reason
comics.
the only reason you're still watching this is because it's what you're supposed to be doing, because you're being told that this is the popular show.
Yep.
Like the greatest TV show of all time.
Ed and Nettie.
You're not wrong. The greatest TV show ever made is always going to be The Sopranos.
Oh, God.
Oh God, dude, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's the greatest
It
show
is
ever.
what it is.
It's the greatest show ever fucking made. And it will always be the greatest show ever made. And not many shows really come close to, like, they come close, but they're not, like, people put Breaking Bad up there. Breaking Bad is the most overrated show of all time, or one of.
I mean, technically, if you're looking at it that way, what's the greatest TV show ever made? I bet it's still the longest running weekly episodic TV show in the history of television.
Monday Night Raw, baby. No, like I'm a big movie buff. I'm a big TV guy. Like, I just love that shit. And I kind of can be a snob with it. So to call that stuff like brain junk food, where it's like you're not really getting much, like you're getting some stuff, some substance and story to it, but it's like you don't really need to invest a lot into it to really. I mean, people get. I can hear the backlash. I apologize for saying that it's a show for stupid people, but like you get something out of it. Good on you. It's not what
It's a comfort show.
It's a comfort show, and your comfort is just a little bit different than mine. Like I like to watch a show that's going to make me think, and I like to watch, a horror movie that is more of a psychological horror movie as opposed to jump scare heavy or whatever. Like X, incredible fucking movie.
Great movie.
Have you watched Pearl yet?
No.
Pearl is so fucking good. Pearl is better than X. And then Maxine is going to be incredible.
How do you feel about movies that are getting turned into TV shows? Like they just did I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I know they're doing Harry Potter too.
They're doing Harry
Which
Potter.
technically that's books to movies to show, but whatever.
But they're doing Friday the 13th with a new Camp Crystal Lake show on Peacock. And then they got Welcome to Derry coming out on HBO Max.
I mean, I think that we need to just quit rehashing old ideas. I think that we need to make something
they're prequels
new.
though for the horror ones.
But still, it's still an IP that already exists.
Yeah, but
Get me something that's fresh and new. I'm not disparaging that stuff. I'll watch Welcome to Derry because I love it. The Bill Skarsgård it, not the Tim Curry it.
Tim Curry's my guy.
It's so bad,
dude.
But
I'm gonna miss Tim Curry when he goes, and I don't see him lasting much longer.
Oh, don't jinx him like that.
I hate to say it, dude, but I saw a post where he's just now learning how to talk again and shit, and I'm like,
don't
please don't do this to me.
Get well soon, Tim Curry. I think we just need to quit rehashing ideas. I think that we need to get more creative. And, we talked about it last time, and maybe it'll be over by the point that this goes up, but that writer's strike where they're protesting AI and stuff like that. And Disney has just stopped coming up with new ideas, and they're just making live action versions of their movies now. And I mean, there's a market for it. It's fine. Live action Lion King was awesome. I really liked it because to bring it back to the music thing.
But they changed so much in that movie though, story wise.
I know, and
that pissed me off.
It is what it is. But I mean, yeah. I mean,
and the Little Mermaid, the new Flounder. Come on now.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. I'm not mad about I don't care. There was the big uprising, you changed the color of Ariel's skin. I don't care about that. It's fine. If you
don't fuck with Flounder,
but don't fuck the animation in it is so bad. It looks awful. Flounder looked terrible.
Yes,
but I don't care what you do with a character. Change the character. I don't care.
People are people.
In Guardians 3, Cosmo was originally a male character, but they changed Cosmo to a female character. That's fine. I mean, it worked because this was kind of a different Cosmo than you see in the comics.
Yeah.
But by the way, what's the word I'm looking for here? How hypocritical of me is it to say that it's quit rehashing ideas, and then meanwhile the MCU is one of my favorite things on the planet.
That is pretty hypocritical.
I love the MCU, dude.
But
love it.
At the same time, these have never been movies before. They've only been books.
Which is true. Well, comic books, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But and then that's another thing too.
It's a new outlet for old ideas.
Yeah, and then people were mad because just because it has the same name as a story arc that happened in the comics, it's not exactly one for one. I don't fucking care.
Nope.
It's still good. Civil War in the movies is so different. Age of Ultron is completely fucking different. Could not be any more different than the movie.
But they change it for what works better.
You have to.
Can't.
I remember when the first Avengers came out, and Civil War is one of my favorite Marvel story arcs. I love Civil War. It's such a good story. It's awesome. And I'm fantasy booking how they could make Civil War play out. And I'm these characters aren't in the MCU yet, so you would have to introduce them. And it's oh no, they just made it different and it fucking worked.
See, but you also got to think these comic books, a lot of them were written the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
That's a different time.
Yeah.
It's not going to work today in 2023.
Yeah, you have to modernize Captain America, which is what they did a pretty good job of, because it's Captain America, and I say this with not to knock it, but you got to think when Captain America was written, Captain America was American propaganda.
Yeah.
And they just adjusted the Steve Rogers character once they brought him back in the 60s, 70s. Is that when they brought Captain America back?
70s.
When they found him in the ice.
Yeah.
I think it was the 60s. And this made him a different character. But anyway, yeah. That's a whole other topic. If we could go down like superheroes and comic books.
We should do that sometime.
We should, yeah.
This was different, not talking about that W word.
We brought it up a little bit, though. Because we could have talked about like...
You know who I fucking blame for that?
Who?
Logan.
It's always Logan's fault. And he's going to... Here's the thing. He's going to hear this because I know he listens. And he's going to take that to heart because that's what your son does. He takes everything.
That's fine, though. Like, first he breaks his foot and screws up months worth of bookings. And now he's here, like, making our podcast go off the damn rails. Like, Logan, get your shit together.
Logan, we love you.
How long you been in this business, boy?
I said that's what I like to do to him, right? Where I'll be like, Logan, go get this for me. And he goes, no, I'm sorry. How long have you been in the business? I will blackball you in a heartbeat. But all right, guys. Well, this was a really fun one. We spent the most of the time talking about music, but I mean, we touched on movies a little bit. Maybe we'll have to revisit the movie thing maybe some other time. But to spend a little bit more talking about movies because the lion's share of it was about music. But yeah, now you know. Actually, we're in the process. Go on.
Back again. Now you know.
Now you know. We're in the process of making playlists. That's going to be like Madrox's favorite songs, my favorite songs, and we're going to give those out to you. That would be a good time to, you know what? By the time this drops, I'll drop a link somewhere. Check it out on Spotify. We'll have a Madrox playlist and a Dickie Wabash playlist, and you'll see how different we are with music. But as always, guys, please continue with the reviews, with the recommending, with the sharing. Huge shout out to our sponsors that we work with. We love all of you. You can find me on social media at AttaboyDickie on Instagram specifically. That's really all I use anymore. You can find Madrox at Madrox_BSB. Go to the Facebook page, MadBash Studios on Facebook. You can check us out there. We do this a lot, but be on the lookout because we're rising. We're making shit happen, and we are looking very forward to it. So, yeah, for Michael Madrox, I've been Dickie Wabash, and I don't know about you, Madrox, but I kind of want to see him next time.
See who?
The listeners, the loyal listeners.
The loyal. How are we going to see him through the radio?
Oh my God, that's a good one. Radio?
Computer. God, is radio still a thing?
Barely. Podcasting's the new medium.
Is it? Though,
it is.
Is it the new or the middle-aged and crazy?
God, with this thing again. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Who's Karen?